Good afternoon, my beautiful people today. How are we doing? I said good afternoon, my beautiful people. How are we doing today? So good afternoon. My name is Milton Bennett, and I am a sophomore here at SUNY Brockport.
And I'm Emily Burr. I'm a senior here at SUNY Brockport.
From the conversations we're overhearing during lunch, would anyone like to share what they thought of their breakout session or the keynote speaker? Oh, ho, ho! I am very excited about the theme this year because my experience with leadership aligns so closely. I started working for the leadership program this year, and through this position while tabling, I have the opportunity to meet so many people that students know how to sign up and learn to enjoy the experience of becoming a leader.
This theme also applies a lot to my leadership experience as well. Part of my journey becoming a leader was studying abroad, and I learned so much through there. And before I went, I was a little bit too timid and shy to become a student leader. So when I studied abroad, I gained a worldwide view. I became more confident in myself, and I was able to have some more interpersonal skills, which allowed me to decide to become a leader. And that's part of this whole conference. So we hope you enjoyed our keynotes, the breakout session, and that wonderful taco bar. Yep.
Give it up for the taco bar!
And you're going to have to give it up again because we forgot to mention the ice cream bars as well. And let's also give it up to the workshop presenters and the wonderful folks who prepared our lunch. And if you didn't already notice, students are a huge part of the marketing and media today. Students are recording sessions, DJing music at lunch, thank you to the point, vlogging, documenting on socials, creating an Instagram takeover, and designing graphics and creating reels. This conference really shows student leadership in action.
We would also like to recognize the contributions of the incredible planning committee standing right in front of me. So if I say your name, please stand up. Maddie Hedy, Aaron Enriquez, Carrie Pardon, Doran McNeil, Stephanie Wisnowski, Juliana Corletto, Cass Purvis. Wait, hold the applause. Cass Purvis, Tori Roleff, and last but not least, the wonderful Milton Bennett. Also, give it a round of applause for my MC, Emily, right here, who's assisting me. So give it up, give it up, give it up! In fact, one of SUNY's, the best SUNY conference there is. Duh. The conference planning committee took great care to curate this plenary panel to discuss the theme of today's conference, young leaders in a changing world, in particular, intergenerational leadership. Ooh. Without further ado, we would like to introduce our moderator for the plenary panel.
Today, our moderator is one of BSG's leaders, David Bouillon. David has been David has been an active in student leadership since middle school, focusing on representation and access. In high school, he served as a student representative to the Rochester City School District Board of Education, advocating for student concerns and equity. As a Borlaug Scholar at Cornell University, he researched food insecurity and educational access in India, examining how instability affects long-term outcomes. In college, as a second year, he serves as Chief Justice of Student Government and Vice President of the Muslim Student Association while contributing to university committees. His academic interests focus on urban psychology, stress in urban environments, and how institutional structures shape outcomes for low-income and underrepresented students. David, take it away.
Wow, I'm kind of blushing, I'm not gonna lie. That was a beautiful introduction. I mean, I wrote it, but it was a beautiful introduction. But I'm just so happy to be here. And just so excited to really get this panel started. If you guys have noticed, or if you guys care to look and notice, we're actually all categorized by age here. So I'm the youngest, and we go up by age. But really, like this, this summit is called Young Leaders in a Changing World. But young doesn't necessarily mean age, right? Young just means new. That you're introducing your introductory to leadership. You know, what does that look like, and how does that feel like as well. And this panel really is talking about intergenerational leadership and how we as leaders intersect between ages and how our experiences shift as we grow. You know, my advisor, Ms. P, loves to say that we grow until we die. And I think that's so true, that we keep growing until we die. So how does that leadership change and how does it grow as we age and grow as people? So to get us started, I would like all our panelists to introduce themselves. And for our audience as well, while this is a panel, it's also discussion. So if you feel so compelled to clap, snap, say yeah, say woo, cha-cha, dance, whatever, it's in your ability to do so. This is also a discussion between you, us, all of us, and we're all listening together. So I'm gonna pass on the mic and introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, what got you in leadership, and yeah, like why you're here today.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Ciarni Knight. My name's Ciarni, the content creator, and I am a content creator in Rochester. I was born and raised. I went to a bunch of city schools. I eventually graduated from Hope Hall in Gates, and I had an IEP as well. So, and then I moved on to Nazareth College, which is now Nazareth University. I know there's some Naz people here. Okay. We're strong. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. And then from there, I went on into marketing. The pandemic hit, and it took a lot of us out. I didn't know what I was going to do, and then I just started enjoying life to the fullest, meeting people, going places, and then it kind of took off from there, and I'm very blessed to be where I am now, and I definitely think anything you set your mind to, you can do, because here I am on this panel. Yeah. Oh, and I'm 30 years old. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sabira Campo. Feel free to call me Sabi. I am 33 years old. My journey, my family migrated to the U.S. from Guyana about 20 years ago, and my single mom, along with two sisters, really struggled, which is why I saw education as my way out of poverty, way out of the ghetto, and really just committed to that idea of going to school. I had the pleasure of going to RIT for both my bachelor's, thank you, for both my bachelor's and my master's, and then I entered the workforce. But because of my name, I really struggled to get interviews. People thought I needed immigration support or I wasn't a U.S. citizen. So I made my career to get into recruitment, and currently I work at the Golisano Children's Hospital, where I oversee faculty and physician recruitment. I'm also a Doctor of Education student, and I'll be defending my dissertation next month. I'm really excited to be here, and I hope I can help in any way to make a better future for women of color, for people of color, for those of us who have names that, you know, might get looked over one day.
Good morning. Oh, we're going to try this again. Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go. My name is Antoine Williams. I am the Director of Youth System Services at Rochester Works. I was born in 1979, so that makes me, I'll be turning 47 years old in August. What else? Born in Las Vegas, New York, but came to Rochester when I was a baby, so Rochester is home. I'm a graduate of RCSD. And for me, when I think about leadership, it started when I was 13 years old. My grandmother took me in the basement and showed me how to wash, dry, starch, and iron, right? There was something about, in her eyes, no one should be able to look at me and pigeonhole me in terms of what zip code I'm from or if I had a learning disability and things of that nature. In her eyes, it was all about, in order to be heard, you have to be seen. So she was very instrumental in putting me in my very first suit and showing me how to tie a tie. With that being said, in terms of employment, I participated in the Summer Youth Employment Program when I was in high school. From there, in college, I did an internship at a community-based organization where I ran program, and then after college connected with the funder and became the program monitor. And then 6 promotions later, now director of youth programs, workforce development, managing over $7 million of workforce development dollars. Not bad for a young person who has also an IEP, struggle with reading and writing, but with the supports in place, was able to leverage all of that so that I can be here today to share my story.
Ooh. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, that's better. My name is Robert Ricks, and I was born in Opelika, Alabama. That's further south than any of y'all really want to go. My mother brought me here with my brother and my sister. She was a sharecropper's daughter, and so she didn't have a lot of education, didn't have a lot of money. And so I spent a lot of time alone and spent a lot of time getting in trouble. And I think my leadership positions or my leadership desires didn't start until I was 30. At 30, that's when my will and my God's will and my mother's will aligned. And so from there, I went to college, and I always aspired to be a writer. And so a writing director at Writers and Books saw me do some poetry that I had written and performed and asked me, could I do that? Is that something I can teach? And after several years of taking creative writing, I knew it was something that I could. So, and so that was my introduction to the arts as an adult, but also my introduction to working with young people. And what I found is that the adults that was in my life, one specific one who was a very influential youth advocate and also arts instructor, was he really made a serious imprint in my life. His name was James Perkins, and he had a performing art group called the Black Seeds, and they performed all over, and he took them places and he did things with them, and that is what influenced me to do the things that I do today. I'm 63 years old. For the last 33 years, I've worked with young people in some capacity, mainly in the arts. I have a youth organization called Mentors Inspiring Boys and Girls. We have a couple of different locations. We do theater, creative writing, dance, step, boxing, basketball, accelerated reading, accelerated math. We do whatever we think is going to get the young people through the door and provide us an opportunity to give them what they need. I believe if we give young people what they want, then in turn they will give us what we need from them to do and be and have. Anything else? That's good.
You know, can you guys hear me? Okay. I think that's so powerful what you said at the end was that if we give young people what they need, we get the results that we want, essentially, right? And we talked a lot about this panel so far that we've had these mentors who have taught us leadership, but while they trailblazed a path for us, we trailblazed a path for ourselves as well. And speaking of that, and speaking on that, then how do we continue to guide young people towards growth while also still acknowledging their autonomy and their own growth as well, right? So not overshadowing them, but also appreciating them and celebrating them. How do we do that as leaders?
I think as more experienced members, our responsibility is to give them the information. And sometimes we have to temper the way we give it to them, because I came up in a completely different era. When I went to school, my teacher had a couple of rulers taped together, and if we didn't do what we were supposed to do, he had no problem with having us lean over the blackboard and popping us a couple of times on the butt. And then he would call my mother, and then my mother would pop me a couple of times on the butt. But we're in a completely different time now. You go to jail for that kind of stuff. Get your kids taken away and your rights and privileges. So what I know as a person with that has, I believe, touched a lot of young lives is that our responsibility is to give them the information. Sometimes we have to take our egos out of it. Sometimes we have to take the fact that we're older out of it. Sometimes we have to take the fact that we have more experience out of it and get humble. Because the goal ultimately is to provide them with the information that's going to assure their success.
Read the question. Three.
To help guide your growth and who you are in the workplace and your autonomy, at first, there's a lot of introspection and knowing yourself. Without knowing yourself, you will be directionless. You might go to your manager, and a lot of people won't respond well if you're looking for them to answer the question of who you are and what you want. So I would reflect and think about yourself. What do you want? What are your goals? Where do you want to be? And naturally, you will find those people in your lives. But you also have to recognize that not everyone you come across will help you. It's important to recognize who is your peer, who's there that's going to sponsor you, and say your names to the right person and get you into that meeting that you want to be invited to so badly. However, it doesn't mean that the person who said your name is the person that is going to prepare you for that meeting. You might need a mentor to help you navigate a room, to help you understand who else is going to be at this meeting. How do you prepare for it? Practicing your communication style, your presentation skills, your listening skills, in addition to your writing skills. I know we're in college now, and you're probably writing the most beautiful 10-page, 20-page, 5-page papers. However, when you enter the workforce, you will be writing emails. So practice how to say what you mean, say it concisely and short. It could even help to put a summary at the end and bullet points and tag people's names, highlight their names. Hey, Maddie, can you follow up on this? Hey, Tom, when can you get this back to me? That way you're not being pushy, but you are owning who you are in a workplace and showing up.
I love that. And what we really touched on was values and putting it into practice, into the workplace, into school. And so I want to ask the audience, actually, for our next question, is do you guys feel like your values are actually appreciated in the workspace, in education? Raise your hand if you feel like you're valued and like your actual values, what you stand for as a person, are every day valued in the workplace, in education, in schools. Raise your hands. Okay. While I applaud those who raise their hands, the majority have not raised their hands. So what does that look like? How does it look like to actually practice your values in your spaces and in your education and in the workspace? And so the next question is, if you are not able to practice your values or who you are and your identities and leverage those identities into those spaces, then what can we do as leaders to break those cycles of those harmful leadership patterns that we see? There's obviously people who are gatekeepers, who gatekeep things from us, right? Gatekeep leadership, gatekeep education, gatekeep work from us. So how do we overcome that as leaders?
All right, so I'll take this one. So I would say start with transparency. Start with transparency. Speak truth to all the things that are happening. Explain things. Then there'll be no more. Barriers, some of the barriers. And then also, as I like to say, if you're having like a problem and you need to call your credit card company and you need to get through to change a payment or do something, maybe one person you talk to, they're just gonna brush you over. Call again, speak to somebody else. Maybe they might not handle it. Maybe the fifth person will. Just do as much as you can, speak to as many people as you can, and something might work. Something might come through.
Anyone else want to take that question?
So there's an old saying that a closed mouth does not get fed, right? And so if you want to be heard, you have to speak up, whether that's using your voice or writing something down, or better yet, voting, okay? You all are of a particular age right now, and so your voice does matter. And so whether it's, from speaking from a political standpoint, or even here on campus, right? Do you like the food that's being served? I mean, there's surveys being done, given out all the time that will take only 5, maybe 15 minutes, give or take. If you don't speak up, then you really don't have a voice, if that makes sense. And it's so interesting when we hear people complain about stuff, but yet they didn't take the time to voice their opinion. So that's one way of being able to bring about change, is by speaking up, whether it's through voting and or doing surveys and everything in between.
That's awesome. I kind of want to take a second to really engage the audience here. So I'm going to ask one of you guys if you can raise your hand and ask a question for our lovely panelists here and really get you guys engaged. So anyone have any questions? I know you guys have some questions.
We have a question over here,
Yes, Miles.
and then we'll shoot back to the hand in the blue back there.
Sounds good. And if you can introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Miles. I know you guys are all different ages, but what age do you feel like you were respected the most at in work or education or whatever you want to talk about?
Ooh, okay. I know you specifically asked about an age, but I don't think it comes with age. I think it comes with knowing yourself and surrounding yourself with people who respect you, or people who are on the same path as you, or who are looking for more in life. Then you feel better, and then, you feel settled to yourself. Whether it's 30, maybe it'll be 31, maybe it'll be 60, maybe it'll be 70,
That is a great question. And to shift from the workplace, I feel like I became my healthiest self at work and had more balance at work when work stopped being my identity and my life. So having time outside of work, whether that is arts and craft, whether it's spending time with your loved ones, whether it is going for a walk or eating your favorite meal, when you have multiple things in your life, and let's say you have a bad day at work, then it's not your entire world shattering. You have so many other beautiful things in your life and people that you can rely on that it balances that, and it helps you to show up better at work.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that the spike down here.
Do you have any more questions? I know we had some questions in the back here. I know in the blue, you've been raising your hand for a little while now.
We want to hear it.
Can you stand for us and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Yusuf Amani. I'm a program coordinator. And as an adult in this space of young people, working with young people, what is the most challenging thing about mentorship for you guys?
The most challenging thing about mentoring? Okay. And how do we overcome it? Okay. For me, it's all challenging because most of the time, I'm trying to get young people to do things that adults are afraid to do. I'm trying to get them to use their voice. I'm trying to teach them to get on stage. I'm trying to teach them. In my particular program, I try to teach them to show up early and leave late. I try to teach them how to commit themselves to a course of action and stay true to it till it's done. I try to teach them how to work together collectively and create something great at the end. So it's all challenging. A lot, and I would say every year it gets more and more challenging as the young people become more into video games and social media and their phone, trying to get them out of that space and communicate with each other. and learn some values and some attitudes and some behaviors that was consistently given to me. Yes, and please, and thank you, and pardon me, and will you. All those things was things that was required of me. And so I try to require it of our young people. And it's a tall order. But as I said before, I think it's our responsibility as as adults to give them the information.
So there's an old saying that you can walk a horse to a fountain, but you can't make it drink. So for me, it's like it's hard when I know I have the knowledge and or resource to pour into an individual, but they're not in a space to receive it. So for me, I just try to meet people, young people, where they're at, and provide them the tools and resources. And if they're able to take it in that moment, great. If not, I pull back. Because in any experience, sometimes you're just there to plant the seed, but somebody else is going to come along and water it and provide sunlight and provide shade and so forth and so on. So my goal is to never give up, but again, just to meet young adults where they're at until they're ready to receive it.
That was beautiful. I'm actually going to stand because I feel like, back row, can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me and see me? Awesome, perfect. So, like what's really important about this panel is that these leaders have been in like a bunch of spaces, right? And what's great about intergenerational leadership is that you transition between spaces as you age. So for a lot of us, we went through elementary school, middle school, high school, college. And actually one of you guys were saying in like our briefing before this was that as we transition into different spaces, we're no longer with our peers in the workforce. And I think you were talking about that, Sabi. So could you talk more about that? Like you're moving from college into like the workforce, and now you're not with people who are your same age. How do you handle that? Like, how do you go around that?
Thank you. There's a lot of unhealed trauma in the workplace, let's be honest. While our generation, Gen Z and millennials, value therapy and working on ourselves, you might enter the workplace where someone doesn't value that. They don't see beyond their work. They haven't worked on themselves. So the language that you're using might not resonate with them. Your values also won't resonate with them. And you have to be okay with that being okay. So what I think is so phenomenal about Gen Z is that you grew up through so much and you have the ability to code switch. Use that same ability in the workplace. Meet people where they're at. Sometimes you feel like you're going to have to go here to meet them here. But as you learn your own boundaries, recognize that you don't always have to be the one that goes over the line. You can meet people where they are, use those skills of code switching and finding your people. Not everyone at your workplace is going to have your best interests. There are going to be people who don't want to teach you how to do things because it's their thing and it's their own fear. So recognize it's not you, that is on them. Find the people who want to teach you, who want to mentor you, and who you can also teach. I have a group of mentees, and when we meet, I ask them what they want to learn, but then I tell them what I want to learn also. Like right now, I really need to figure out, when am I supposed to use this? Or, is it the right finger? I don't know. I welcome it if someone will tell me, because I have not, okay.
Can we say out loud? This is all.
What does it mean? Oh my God. I'm so glad I learned something today. But that is where it's at.
You, working in media, working in like digital marketing and like that whole sphere, and for our Gen Zers who like, we love, algorithms, we love Instagram, we love scrolling, all that stuff. How do we market ourselves to the masses, but also market ourselves to ourselves? Like when we look in the mirror, like make sure that we're actually affirmed in ourselves. I know it takes a lot of confidence to go and record yourself and do reviews and all that stuff. So what would you say to these wonderful people on how to do that and become a leader in that space?
All right. So if you're interested in that space, I would say first, you would need to be passionate about it. And I feel like from there, it really just flows. Whether it's you want to review games, maybe you want to do food, maybe you want to do amusement parks, maybe you want to do some anime stuff. You just really need to hone in on your niche, and then from there, just throw yourself in any situation. What's the worst thing that could happen? I was invited to this panel today. Have I ever done this? No. But I'm here and I'm going to do it. What's the worst thing that could happen today? So, and then from there, just get comfortable with speaking with everybody you see. You never know who you might speak with, and then they bring something out of you that you're just like, oh my God, like I wish I felt this feeling before. I wish I knew this. This helped so much. I just really feel it's just good to get out there and meet new people and do things. And also, be your own person as well. Sometimes it's great having your friends and your friend group, but in college, whenever the school was like, hey, we're going to the Thousand Islands, we're going to the Renaissance Fair, we're going to this, do you want to go? And my friends are like, oh, I don't know, I've already signed up, I'm on the bus. I'm already on the bus. I'll see you guys when I come back. I'm going to New York City with the finance group. I'm going here with the Italian club. I'm making tiramisu over here. So you really just have to find yourself as well, Do some things. Be by yourself. Yeah.
So when it comes to intergenerational leadership, you can learn something from anybody, right? Whether it's a young person or older person or someone in between. So at work, even though I'm the director, the assistant manager, he is 9 years older than me, multiple degrees, but yet he reports to me because I'm the director, right? But I hired him based on his skill set. So when you're smart, you will hire somebody who is whose skill set is different from yours, and that will complement you, right? So for me, I'm a visionary, big picture type of guy, the face of the program that I run, and he's very detailed, right? Because I'm a bullet points type of guy. Give me the bullet points, save me the thesis. So I will walk into his office because I have a brilliant, in my head, ideal, and I'm just talking, spitting facts, right, left and right. And before I know it, he done whipped out paper and pad, and as I'm talking out loud, he's taking notes, right, taking notes. And by the time I finish my thought process, now he's regurgitating what I just said in some type of order that now I can take it and, and apply it. Because that's really not my skill set. I'm more of an action, I'm more of a doer, more so than sitting down and planning something. So when wisdom and innovation come together, that's where the magic happens. So don't be afraid to work with people who are different from you, whether it's age, culture, ethnicity, so forth and so on, because we all hold a piece of the puzzle to the answer if we're willing to kind of step back and get out of our heads.
I really want to focus on what he just said at the last moment. He said we're all like a puzzle piece, right? So we're all unique, but we all come together. We all create a beautiful picture. I think that's really beautiful. That's really engaging. And actually, Mr. Ricks, I'm gonna call you Mr. because I feel like that's the best thing to do. Okay. But when I was in the teen empowerment workshop, they talked about artivism, which is art and activism, and mashing up the arts and humanities with activism. And so how do we, as students, kind of pull our interdisciplinary kind of like things like I'm a psychology major and I'm also an English major. How do we pull that into the work that we do every day and also lead people and advocate for people?
I like to think that I'm a good thinker, and I'm also an author. I've written a couple of novels and 6 plays, and all of my work is about the plight of inner city youth, inner city moms, overtaxed grandmas, oftentimes fathers that need to show up. And what I've done is just taking my own personal life experiences, the things I see, the things I go through, the things I hear, and regurgitate that into poetry, into literature. Even recently, I've had the opportunity to work with a young lady that does like dance interpretation, and so she takes the words that come out of other people's mouth and does beautiful dances to it. So I think for me, my whole world, as far as my literary works is concerned, is about my whole world. So I think all of us, we have these life experiences that that can go into whatever area that we're educated in or that we're trying to instruct in.
That's wonderful. Like regurgitating who you are as a person into the things you do. And speaking of that, I actually want to ask you a question, Antoine. So, as like kind of the person who leads the Rochester Works, like guiding youth through careers and all that stuff, what do you tell youth when they're getting into a job or a career path, and how can they bring their true selves into that while also still being professional in the workspace and still being a leader in the workspace?
Well, speaking from personal experience, I think that's what how I've excelled in my workplace because I brought my lived experience to the table. And I use that to help me create policies and procedures that will help connect young adults to opportunities. Because I was that young person who at one time struggled in school and had an IEP. I was that person who, felt abandonment because my mother wasn't there. And so all of those trials and tribulations, so to speak, I used all of that to fuel my passion to reach back and pull folks forward. There was a time where I used to be embarrassed that I was in special ed, that I took the little short bus, because we know the stigma behind all of that, right? And now I speak so openly about it because going through that is not the thing that defined me, right? It was the thing that actually propelled me to be in the place and in the position that I'm in today. So yes, be yourself. Bring yourself to the table. And I'll share this last thought. I remember going to being invited to a meeting at the Rochester City School Board District, and sitting at this big table around folks who were older than me and who's been around the block a few times with multiple degrees and whatnot. And they were working on an issue related to the school system. And for a short moment, I kind of shrunk back, right? Thinking that I was not worthy enough to speak up. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. If anyone in that room was, had the lived experience to speak up, it should have been me. And so once it clicked, guess what? My voice just went, full throttle. And when I said what I said, it definitely was. They took it, to know and definitely changed the dynamics of the conversation that led to, us moving forward. So yes, bring yourself, bring your lived experience, because that's what's needed in the workplace.
That's wonderful. And actually, we're going to wrap up soon, but I do want to take the time to actually engage the audience more. So hopefully you guys thought about some more questions. I think we can take a couple of questions. Are there any questions in the audience? I see a question right over here. You want to just stand up and just say it right loud? Or we have the mic actually for you.
Mic check. There we go.
Mic check. Okay. Got taco in my mouth. Okay. Hello all, I am Destiny Hopkinson. I'm coming in from University at Buffalo. I am completing my master's in higher education and student affairs. So, first gen. Okay, so I had a couple questions. And I guess I'll ask the hard hitter question. Because earlier the panelists were tasked with a question of the workforce and something about the workforce. And my question to you all is, how do you approach conflicts that may be blatantly discriminatory in the workforce? Because I am Black and I'm also multi-ethnic. I'm Puerto Rican and Guyanese. Okay?
And I feel like becoming a higher education professional, I'm also pursuing law school after this degree because a lot of my issues, like the keynote echoing what you mentioned, are systematic. So I want a seat at the table. So in your current role or in your career, where have you used your leadership or any skills in your toolbox that helped you approach conflict that may be blatant?
Thank you for your question. I'm also Guyanese, so I love that. Um, when I first started my current position and I would show up at meetings, often people would ask me what my qualifications were, and I had no problem telling it to them, but then I would turn the question on them. What is yours? And often you will find that there are others who haven't done any professional development, read a new book, or anything in more than a decade. So I would own your power, but also don't apologize for it. When someone asks you for something or if they're being passive aggressive, turn the question on them. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're trying to say. Can you clarify? And give them the opportunity to say those harmful things that are passive aggressive, that are hurtful, and let them face their own words.
I love that so much. Can we get a round of applause for that? That was awesome. Like, yeah, as we engage with careers, with education, with all those things, we will face roadblocks and we will face those gatekeepers. And I think that we have to really remember is that we hold the keys to our own locks, right? So that as you move into these spaces, remember that you are true to yourself and that when you look in the mirror, you know you are successful, right? So as we wrap up, I just want to ask all of you guys, what advice would you have to these wonderful young people here about leadership? And like, what's like the best advice, like hard hitter advice that you can give to them?
I'll let somebody else start first.
For me, I would say trust the process as it relates to your, professional development. It's okay not to know everything, right? That will come in time, and basically you're going to take all of that lived experience, all of that trauma, all of the things that made you uncomfortable, will be the thing that you will, whether that you realize or not, will be the thing that you will utilize to help you excel in life, in the workplace. Sometimes a setback is there for a comeback, if that makes sense. So, yeah, trust the process. You know, everything is short-lived. This too shall pass. So even though you may be in a space of, feeling uncomfortable, you're not sure, just keep moving forward. The answer will come, the support will come, provided that you are not afraid to ask for help when you need it. That's the most important thing, right? Because sometimes, we will get stuck in life, and that's okay. Nobody's perfect. No one knows all or have all the answers. But as long as you are willing to, seek help and do something with it, you will go far in life.
Love that. Can we get a round of applause for that? That was awesome.
I would say go hard. Go hard and dream big because it's a lot of people that's in our society today in positions of power that don't have our best interest at heart. And what I would say to anybody who is going to school and getting this education and bettering themselves and positioning themselves to go hard, work collectively, build, fight. It's imperative. It's imperative that good people with good brains work collectively to produce good stuff. Because if not, the bad people win. So go for the goal.
I believe in networking. I think you've got to go to events, connect with others. Don't solely rely on the person that you sit with in your class, the professor that you have. Connect with other professors, connect with other students, go to more networking events, add a stranger on Facebook. But be yourself and find your community. Once you find your community and people whose dreams aligned with yours, you'll naturally find a place that you belong.
Perfect. I feel like everything was pretty much said, but I would say start now. If you have an idea, start today, tonight. Invest in it. And if you don't have the money, find somebody who will give you the money to invest in it. There's also a lot of free things you can do as well. Start with the free stuff. Don't just be like, oh, I can't make videos because I can't purchase these mics. The phone will hear you. Just set it up. The phone will hear you, and start today, That's about it.
I love that so much. And from my advice would be, from a young leader to all you young leaders, I'm a sophomore. I have 2 more years in this place, all right? And there's still so much more I want to do. And with the networking, get involved as much as you can. Literally, take every opportunity you can. Most of it is free. Do everything that you can. Your foundation starts now. I think a lot of us think that we're gonna start building ourselves up when we got our career, but you start building yourself up now. So build yourself up. Plant those trees that one day you can sit in the shade under, right? So really start thinking about who you are and start joining things, start finding yourself. And with that said, can we just get a round of applause for this wonderful panel? Thank you guys so much. Yeah. That was incredible. I'm gonna give it back to Milton, our MC. Take it away.
Thank you. Can we give it up for our panelists? All right, can we get a big old wave? So, with that being said, we have 10 minutes until our next transition. So if anyone wants to, feel free to come talk to our panelists one-on-one. Please take the opportunity and feel free to. Come on up, step right up.